And smelling something in the air, but not really thinking anything of it.
We'd confirmed that yes, this came from the governor's office and it is a do not use order.
Do not use the water in Charleston.
I was live on the air when the governor's first tweet went out basically announcing that this had happened. And at first, we didn't really know what that meant. I was on the set, I was anchoring, as I said, and so I immediately sent a note to our assignment editor and said, check into this, let's see what this is. And finished anchoring the rest of that segment of the newscast. During the commercial break, came out, checked in, we'd gotten a little more information, we'd confirmed that yes, this came from the governor's office and it is a do not use order.
I was actually in Ripley working for the day, and it was on Twitter. I just checked briefly, and there was a proclamation from Governor Tomblin that said, do not use the water in Charleston. And that was really kind of the gist of it. I didn't know what else to expect, and I was just looking for more answers, as everybody was, I'm sure, but it was just kind of a panic thing, thinking that the water is out. There is no water. Do not use your water.
And that was really the start. We were live on the air when it happened, and it just snowballed from there.
Well, in Charleston, I got a sense of uneasiness, to begin with, because most people understood that it was going to be a while before this really had any sort of conclusion.
One thing I do remember about it is that I was over at the state capitol earlier that day. We'd had another freelance reporter was coming into work for us to cover the legislative session. Of course, the state of the state from Governor Tomblin was just, I believe it was the day before, actually. So I was over at the Capitol, and I remember coming back and smelling something in the air, but not really thinking anything of it.
In short, it was a mess. It was a mess. I was lucky. I had water. But that meant I was sort of ground zero for people who needed showers, who needed to fill up water bottles, for people who just kind of wanted a place where they could get away from the no water situation wherever they were and feel a sense of normalcy for a little bit.
No one was prepared for it, but also trying to fathom what it was like to be completely cut off, to not have an appropriate supply of drinking water, or to only have to be able to shower in a public space every couple of days if you're lucky.
And so there was a scrambling at the beginning to just gather information to share. And I think that really sort of set the ball rolling for additional confusion and problems down the line, because one agency would come out with one set of statements or standards, and then another would come out a few days later. I distinctly remember when the do not use bans were lifted, people were able to flush their pipes, and we were explaining to people, this is the process that we've been told, this is the multi-step process you go through to flush out your pipes. But there were all these residual questions. Will any of the MCHM stay in my pipes? Will it cling to the metal? And what about my hot water heater? And no matter how many times we would explain the process as it had been explained to us, viewers weren't believing what they were hearing and what they were seeing.
So the spill occurs on the Elk River. The Elk River is a water source for that area because it's so clean, right? And it is surrounded by a lot of dirty water. I mean, the cost of treating the Kanawha River for drinking water is exorbitant. I mean, it's so dirty you can't afford to. But the Elk River is a very clean river, one of the cleanest in the East, actually. You see how dependent then we have become as a state on our few really clean, productive water sources like the Elk River. And as we lose rivers and their value of drinking water and become dependent on very few, then we become very susceptible to something that would seem like to be a localized event.